Yo, what's up guys? Brian here. Just wanted to make a quick video on how to change the spark plugs on the M178 engine and the M177. They vary slightly, but generally it's pretty much the same engine. You may have to take some extra stuff out on the M177, so like the C63 and stuff like that. I wanted to make this video because there's hardly, or if any, videos online or forums or anything that would tell you how to change the spark plugs and what to torque them to here on this engine. Information on this car is very rare, and that's kind of why I'm documenting my experience and the work I do on this car just throughout this channel, so you guys kind of like experience everything with me, and hopefully some of these videos or all the videos I make will help you out in some way or form. And if they do help you out, please feel free to share and like and subscribe for this video. This took a lot of researching and gathering a lot of like dealer software in order to properly do this work without having to pay for it. Also, I wanted to mention I have gotten tuned. I got stage 2 tuned recently, and with that, I did a lot of research, but I ended up going with the one-step colder spark plugs, which is why I'm doing this, because this vehicle only has 25,000 miles. It's not required at all. But I did it anyway because of the benefits I thought would help the engine with it being tuned and well over 100 horsepower from stock. So today we're gonna go over everything you need to take out, and the passenger side is gonna be more difficult. The driver's side is a lot easier. There's less stuff you have to take out, but I'll go through everything so you guys can make sure you clearly understand what we're doing here. And hopefully you guys can replicate this at your house, without any issues. You don't need any kind of special tools except for the typical, E-sockets, which is like torque sockets, the female torque sockets, and then there is some male, star sockets, or you guys want to call it, torque star, same thing. But let's get to it, man. All right, gentlemen, and here we have the M178 engine up close on my 2016 edition 1. So first thing you want to do is disconnect the negative on the battery. You don't want to risk doing any kind of electrical damage, because we are going to be taking out the ECU, and I believe if you don't do that and disconnect the ECU, you will get some codes thrown. I think I might have done that in the beginning, and some codes were thrown. So this is pretty easy. You pretty much just pull this tab up, and then like that, and then you completely fold it out, and then this will keep kicking out, and while this kicks out, this part will come up. So you want to do that on both sides. Set the ECU aside. The ECU just pops out. You force a little bit, it just pops out. It sits kind of like that right there. Let me see if the camera will focus. It kind of sits like that. It's like a rubber grommet. Anyways, you pull that out so you have more space here. I found that taking this weather stripping right here off really helps. And then this bar that runs along right here, these are E12 sockets by bolt heads. I mean, you'll need an E12 socket for that. Take this one out. This one's short. 2 long ones that run through the bar. And then if you follow this bar, there'll be the same setup down here, but with only 2 long bolts missing you won't have the small short one right here. Anyways, you pull that aside. You can once you get these loose, this bracket right here easily moves, so you can pull that out, and then you'll have more room to work, because we will need to be getting in there. And you also, after you do all that, you want to be able to move this piping out the way. You just undo some clips right here, so you have more room to play with like that. And make sure to put it back once you're done. You'll then want to pull this cover off. It's just a heat shield for the high pressure fuel pump. So pull that off, because you will be taking off this line right here. This is a 19 millimeter nut. You'll need a 19 millimeter wrench. So grab that, and then the pipe, that little pipe, it looks like this diameter. Let me get focus. This diameter, and pretty much it runs like that. Follow my finger. You can see it right there. It follows all the way right there. 19 millimeter, loosen that up. Loosen this one over here, and then you'll have like 3 or 4 of these T30, yeah, I think it's T30 screws that, or small bolts that'll be around there just holding it in place. I was not successful in taking this off, so don't even bother. There is a screw that I'm missing that's also T30. They're all pretty much the same size, but there's one that clamps this to this, guess this heat shield right here, and you could, well, it goes in there, that little bracket right there. I lost it. I'm gonna have to order some more screws and then just replace it. It's not really necessary, but you will need to take that off. It's kind of tricky. You have to get an extension and then a swivel head and try to get from back here. You got to lean over the car. I mean, working on these spark plugs really does hurt your back, so just be ready for that. But you will want to get this, I think this is some sort of evap. This black tubing right here just pulls out from here, but first you'll need to, let me pull this in. You'll need to get that little screw off. And this looks kind of tight, but once you do everything I've told you, like, you know, take all the stuff off, it'll be a lot easier. And you have to do it in that order. You can't just do one thing first. Because if you follow this back here, that's the only screw up here. And this just slides into this section right here. So there's like a female end and then you got the male end. But you follow this back here and there's 4 screws right here that you got to take off. But you can't take them all off until you get the exhaust, the fuel line taken out, which just so happens to sit, if I could focus, there you go. It just so happens to sit in front of it, and guess what else sits in front of it? I mean, not what else, sits behind it, the coil pack. So you need to take all this off just to access this one coil pack. And then the other coil pack sits right here. And then you'll have, you know, 3 screws, 3 E10 screws. Well, I think I heard that one. I think we found where that screw that I lost was. So I just heard a drop all in the ground. Well, I'll put that on after the video. But anyway, so you got these coil packs right here, and I actually replaced these coil packs while I was doing the spark plugs because, you know, for this 2016, I've heard that coil packs for this year, they could become faulty and they're very prone to like failure because the solder points inside of the electronics tend to break and cause misfires and whatnot. So since I'm tuned and I know when I drive this car, even though I baby it so much, I know when I drive this car, I do drive it, you know, pretty spiritedly. So I want to make sure this is in the best condition possible. But let me show you one of the old coil packs. Give me 1 second, let me grab it. This is one of the old ones, and as you can see, but it has just three screws that hold it in, or 3 bolts, and then you have a grounding point right here. This is very important, and I'd recommend whenever you pull them out and put them back in after you change the spark plugs, you'll need to add some dielectric grease, clean it up, because on my end there was corrosion, and I didn't really think it was an issue because I've never had issues before I changed the spark plugs. But as soon as I put those back in, I was having like 2 misfires because of that bad contact right there. And then, so I just pulled it all out and then cleaned it. And then, you know, add some small amount of dielectric grease just to help with the contacting, with like the grounding. So I'd recommend you do that. I haven't had any issues since. But you will need to unplug that. That comes off. This will have to stay, and then if you pull this cover up and around, the connector for this coil pack is right underneath. There's barely any room in there, but you're just gonna have to move that out the way. If you want more room, it'll give you a couple more inches to play with to pull this out. Undo your intake for your passenger side and just pull this portion out, and then that'll allow you to get to the screw right here where I'm pointing at. You pull that off and you'll be able to wiggle it some more. But if you also want, you could take this cover off. It doesn't mean you just pop it off, and that'll give you more room to play with if you really want to, you know, be safe. And just doing that, I was able to get all that removed. It requires some wiggling, but nothing crazy. These are 14 millimeter plugs. So I'd recommend you get a, you know, a spark plug socket and a swivel and then an extension, and then you'll be fine. When you pull this out, before you pull these out, you want to make sure you blow some compressed air in there, get all the dust out of there, and just make sure, you know, there's no debris in there before you pull them out. You don't want anything getting into the cylinder. So once you do that, you blow some compressed air. When I did it, a whole lot of stuff started coming out, just shooting in my face. Pause. But after you do that, 14mm socket, you pull that out, replace it. You have to gap the spark plug. If you're, I don't recall what the original gapping is. You're gonna go stage 2, and you're gonna go, you know, a step coder, or just stage 2 in general. You want to gap it to 0.03, so 0.03 of an inch. That is what's recommended by PTG, and you know PTG holds a pretty good, you know, reputation for these cars. So I trust what they say. So that's also why I went with stage 2, because it was recommended for them. Even though I spoke to a lot of tuners that didn't really recommend, or they didn't really say it was necessary, but I went with it regardless, because I do have big plans for this car in the future. Also, you guys stay tuned. At the end of the video, I will be adding the dyno session that I had, and then the numbers that was showing up. And that is with everything I have, all the supporting mods and whatnot. So keep tuned, you know, stay tuned for the end of the video, and I'll show you guys that. But regardless, I went with the HKS Super Fire spark plugs. You know, I heard they were the best of the best, you know, up there with OEM, if not better. So I went with them, and they were not cheap spark plugs. I wouldn't recommend buying from PTG. As much as I like PTG, I wouldn't recommend buying them. They're so overpriced. You can find them on Amazon, and I could show you the box here, and that way you guys know which one to buy. So you guys ready? Because you know, PTG will go through hell and back before they'll tell you what kind of spark plugs your car needs, like from HKS. So after a lot of research, these are the spark plugs right here. This is it. This is what you need. This is one-step coder from OEM, and these are exact thread and the exact size you need for this, and length and everything for this engine. And I've been running this engine, I've been running these spark plugs for about 500 miles already. Haven't had any issues, and these are it. You are very welcome. I just saved you about $250. SKS sells them for about 500 bucks. You can find them on Amazon for 8 set for about $20, give or take the discount that's going on. Yeah, pop. So you'll save yourself a lot of money there. And once you take them out and you put the new spark plugs in and they're already gapped, I recommend you getting a gapping tool. You want to torque it down. If you don't use any anti-seize lubricant on the spark plugs, I'd recommend you torque it down. I think the factory is like 25 Newton meters. And that's what I did on these. And if you do have to use dielectric grease, not dielectric, my bad. If you don't have to use anti-seize, if you have to use anti-seize, maybe you just prefer it. I believe it's 13 Newton meters. You gotta reduce the torque on it. You might have to double check on that. You can always ask like ChatGPT. I found that ChatGPT for that kind of stuff is very accurate. It's just it's a formula that they use. But anyway, once you do that, there's 4 on this side, obviously 4 on that side, and you'll torque them down. Put the you can add a little bit of dielectric grease to the end of the spark plug, to the very tip of the spark plug. Let me get a spark plug for you. This is the OEM. This is only with like 25,000 miles, and you can add some like dielectric grease up here, and then that'll ensure a better connection once it goes in there. But have some, you just make sure you have some good leverage when you're pulling out these coil packs, because they were very tight. Even though, yes, this car is almost 10 years old, or 10 years old now, but these are the first times they've ever been changed, and these were really stuck on there. I mean, I'm telling you, especially this one back here and this one back, and the other one on the other side, man, they were a hassle to take off. And I even ended up tearing one of these rubber like legs that they have. But I replaced it. Like I said, I don't care. I already replaced all the coil packs, you know, and it's been working great. Let's move to the other side to see how it's done. All right, we're back on the other side, and if we take a look here, you don't have to remove as much stuff. The other side really was the worst of it all, but you do have to remove these 3 right here just so you have better room. And then you want to pop this off like that. You pop that off, and then that will allow you to move this tubing right here so you can get to those 2 right there. And then I'd pull that off. You can move this heat shielding out the way as long as you put it back, and that just covers the fuel lines. So with this one, it's kind of similar. There is this black tubing. I don't know if this is for the evap or whatnot. This like black tubing that runs across. Unfortunately, it runs across this this coil pack right here as well. Not so much for this one. I think it blocks one of the screws. Yeah, it blocks that screw right there, unfortunately. So you'll need to take it out. So you got, if you move some of this stuff out the way, you got those, let me focus. You got those screws right here, and then that pops out, and then you got, let me see where we're at. And then you got, let me focus here. Come on, camera. And then you got those 2 right there. Those 2 right there, you want to remove them because the one on the right will allow you to move this piece right here. That way, so you could get this one out of the of where it's connected down there, and you literally just pull it out. You pull that out to the right. You may want to disconnect these connectors here first, so just so they're not in the way. So undo those. You pull it out. Once you have that out, you can literally just, you'll probably have to unclip this too. Not probably, you definitely have to unclip this right here. It just pulls out. You literally just like force it out, and then just clip it back in. But once you take out this this black tubing right here, you will have access to all 3 screws without taking anything else apart. Like I said, you just have to move this heat shielding. And then the reason you gotta remove that bar is because trying to get to these 2 screws right here are very pain. Even with a swivel head, you'll have to do them manually, possibly, like with a ratchet, just by hand. Have to wait. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's a plane passing in the background. But anyway, move this clip, and then undo those 3, clean the contacts, you know, clean the grounding on this side, you know, blow the holes where the spark plugs are before you taking them out. Take them out, gap the new ones, put them back in, or pre-gap them before you even do all this. Put them back in with or without anti-seize, and then just torque them down to 25 or 13 newton meters. And then you'll be set to go. Put the new coil packs in. I do recommend changing the coil packs unless you have a really modern, you know, AMG. So put the coil packs back on. You can add some dielectric grease, and then just reconnect everything and plug this back in. You can wiggle this back in, and it falls into place. And then that's literally it. Like honestly, I've done this so many times because I had to go back and forth, you know, because of all the issues I've been having with like grounding. And then I added too much dielectric grease one time, so it was giving me like a misfire. I cleaned that up, you know, rookie mistake, right? But you live, you learn, right? So I won't do that ever again. But after that, I mean, I could do this in probably like 2 hours, if not less, you know. I'm so familiar with this with a spark plug now that it won't take me long at all. But my first time, I literally took my sweet time doing it. You know, I was taking breaks here and there, and it still only took me about 4 hours. So, you know, it's really doable. You don't need that many tools, and all the tools you need are on Amazon for super cheap, and they're good for what we need them, right? I do recommend getting a torque wrench, and I do recommend, you know, torquing these to spec. I don't want you to strip them or damage the engine. Anyway, this is not a cheap fix. So if you guys have any other questions about anything else I've done to this car, or if you have any specific questions about things you're going through or troubleshooting, just let me know. I could try to make a video on it. And well, yeah, guys, hopefully that's helped you guys, and you know, hopefully it'll save you a couple bucks. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe, because I'll be posting more content as I do things to the car. so I can help you guys out more. And yeah, here is the video of the dyno and what I pushed with the current setup I have now. I have many more things planned, so you guys keep tuned. See ya.